Nyaje chembor dan hingmi jong zoner monum chembor nga jata bakar tarngam santo shermondo tomba tiji chan la ki jom sar ne chen ro zering jang zan jawar tiji shan la yelar man jime panzo jang la soran da gon de toban por shinji lo.
Today, our topic is Pith Instructions for Daily Meditation Practice, offering guidance and insights. This Pith Instructions for Daily Meditation Practice are found within Great Biography of the Lives of Buddha Shakyamuni, White Lotus. I distinctly remember that the Tibetan version of this extensive biography of Shakyamuni Buddha has approximately 500 pages. It seems that the Chinese version of this particular treatise also happens to have exactly 500 pages, which is quite interesting. This truly significant work is published by the highly esteemed authoritative Tibet, Ancient Tibetan Texts Publishing House. It is clearly understood that its extensive publication process began in October of 2012, marking a particularly notable point in its historical journey. This is now the third printing edition of this book. The content we are discussing today is in the latter part of this book. This is the biographies of the 8 great bodhisattvas. We will be able to distribute it here tomorrow or the day after. This is also published by the Tibet Ancient Tibetan Texts Publishing House, a notable institution. It probably hasn't been officially released to the general public yet. It might indeed take some time. Actually, the biographies of the 8 great bodhisattvas is a very important and significant work. There are many folk interpretations and popular understandings about the 8 great bodhisattvas. As for some detailed explanations within the actual Buddhist scriptures, we are still not particularly clear. Therefore, regarding the 8 great bodhisattvas, Mipham Rinpoche, relying on his wisdom, gave many important key instructions on the practical application. So this biographies of the 8 great bodhisattvas is something that we may, in the near future, if our Dharma friends here distribute it, I hope everyone will study it well. His Holiness, Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche, also once taught it. Moreover, in this very important book, many profound and significant teachings are presented. The sacred scriptures cited are from many authoritative sources in the classical Chinese Tripitaka and are systematically explained a bit more accurately, clearly. They are precisely compared and analyzed one by one. This is the biographies of the 8 great bodhisattvas. After some time, we should be able to obtain it. Today I observed that the lamas and the nuns present here are just now commemorating the Buddha with great reverence. Today we have collectively held a significant event, recitation, which should be the ritual of the Buddha Shakyamuni, something along those lines. It has just recently finished now. They have now started reciting the Guru Rinpoche mantra. As we begin, today's current circumstances and auspicious conditions are indeed very good. Some time ago, we had stated that we would rely upon the life and teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha to teach meditation methods and practices. Coincidentally, on our side, the Academic Affairs Department meticulously arranged for the comprehensive participation of both the esteemed lamas and the dedicated nuns today, which profoundly marks the auspicious and significant first day of the sacred Sakya month. And also for the whole world, just as we talked about some time ago, it's Vesak Day. Vesak Day, according to the Tibetan calendar, should fall within this month. So this month, we are actively promoting that everyone practices virtuous and commendable deeds, especially if you can truly be vegetarian for your entire life. That is, of course, an exceptionally excellent endeavor. If you cannot do that, then being vegetarian during the Sakya month, or performing life release during the Sakya month, or engaging in virtuous and meritorious deeds during the auspicious Sakya month, including offering lamps or diligently copying sacred scriptures, as well as recitation and so on, all of these bring immense merit. So today is a particularly auspicious and complete, and also a very fortunate and auspicious time. In the next few days, we meticulously plan to utilize 4 dedicated class sessions to thoroughly discuss and explore various daily meditation practices. Then, at the very end of this period, most probably on Sunday, we will conclude our discussions. I will discuss with everyone the methods of confession, specifically how to confess. We will use the visualization method, relying on Vajrasattva Buddha for confession. As for today's content, it is mainly based on the teachings of the omniscient Mipham Rinpoche, specifically the visualization practice of Shakyamuni Buddha. This visualization practice is also extremely profound. Next, we will thoroughly discuss the ultimate and profound method for visualizing the Buddha. This significant discussion is excerpted from the omniscient Mipham Rinpoche's White Lotus Treatise. This particular White Lotus Treatise should be translated around the year 2002. I distinctly remember that on December 25th, 2001, I traveled to the city of Xiamen, and then on May 2nd, I believe I departed from the city of Xiamen. So over the course of about 4 months, I translated this content in a hospital in Xiamen. Each and every part of this entire content was basically done while I was hospitalized and receiving intravenous IV drips. Basically, after I was discharged from the hospital, I also finished translating the extensive biography of the Buddha. For me personally, it left quite a very deep impression at that time. Today my voice might sound a little bit off, perhaps even a bit hoarse. Some time ago I recently went to visit several different schools, and as a result I unfortunately caught a cold and became quite tired, and consequently I don't have very much energy at all. But it's still manageable. Today we have a lot of Tibetan content. We don't need to recite the Tibetan lineage transmission, but perhaps reciting it aloud be a little bit better. However, it is simply too much to handle at this moment, so let's consider it at a later time. In the foreseeable future, we should also be able to reliably receive the transmission through the Chinese text as well. I'll basically explain the content word by word, sentence by sentence. That should be perfectly fine. If we can clearly visualize and effectively make our offerings to Shakyamuni Buddha, who possesses immeasurable merits, then it is truly equivalent to visualizing and making profound offerings to all the enlightened Tathagatas, the Buddhas. Perhaps in what we discuss today, there are many truly very special and profoundly insightful Pith instructions. Everyone should strive to understand them exceptionally well and diligently remember them for the future, applying their profound wisdom in their daily lives. What this means is, if we visualize and make offerings to Shakyamuni Buddha, who possesses immeasurable merits, to a single Buddha, it is the same as visualizing all Buddhas of 10 directions and 3 times. There is really no difference at all. I don't know if you understand this or if you've heard it before. In the past, maybe many people thought, Amitabha is Amitabha, Shakyamuni Buddha is Shakyamuni, and my offering to Shakyamuni Buddha has nothing to do with Amitabha. My offering to Medicine Buddha has nothing to do with Vajrasattva. Perhaps many people think this way, like how ordinary people see each other as separate individuals. They cling to this separation, but this is a mistaken way of discriminating. In the Sutra of Questions by the illusionist Maudgalyayana, it is clearly said like this: Miaoxian, if someone makes offerings to just one Buddha, indeed it is precisely the same as making profound offerings to all the Buddhas throughout the 10 directions of the universe. The fundamental reason for this is because all Buddhas, the Tathagatas, and the entire Dharma realm are always inherently inseparable and eternally undivided. Those Tathagatas also accept these offerings. For example, if we make offerings to Shakyamuni Buddha, Amitabha Buddha will also accept these offerings. The merit of making offerings to all Buddhas is also increased. If we make offerings to one Tathagata, the merit of making offerings to all other Buddhas is also enhanced. Moreover, one attains pure equality. The true and inherent nature of all Buddhas is truly without any discrimination. This is precisely the profound meaning being conveyed here. Therefore, we need to understand that the true nature of all Buddhas is actually one and the same. As stated in the Avatamsaka Sutra, just as the profound power of a single mind can give rise to various thoughts and diverse ideas, so too does the singular Dharmakaya of the Tathagata, in its boundless wisdom, give rise to the countless bodies of all Buddhas. From one Dharmakaya, all kinds of Buddhas in the 10 directions are manifested. Therefore, some of our previous Discriminating thoughts of ordinary beings regarding separateness must be eliminated. In this section, the Avatamsaka Sutra also states this profound way. Merely seeing the Tathagata can effectively cut off all karmic obstacles. Just by truly seeing the Buddha or a sacred Buddha image, we can eliminate all karmic obstacles accumulated since beginningless time and be completely free from all demonic beings. Whoever recollects the Buddha is in fact recollecting all the virtues of the Buddha. Moreover, to remember the Buddha is to remember the virtues of all Buddhas. Such a person will certainly be far from the suffering and fear of the lower realms. All the benefit and happiness of sentient beings arises from the power of the Buddha. Both the immediate temporary benefit of all sentient beings and the supreme ultimate great bliss arise directly through the Buddha's infinite power and divine blessings. Even the most fleeting temporary happiness, we often say Lama Chen and Sangye Chen in our practice, and we should always have a sincere sense of gratitude ourselves from the heart. One should clearly know that the Buddha's supreme merit is completely incomparable. Because the Buddha's perfect merit is truly inconceivable and unimaginable for ordinary beings like us. All Buddhas pervade the Dharma realm for the benefit of sentient beings. Throughout the entire world, the Buddha manifests countless forms to expound the Dharma to sentient beings. Just as space pervades everywhere, and like the ethereal reflection of the moon in the calm water, in order to profoundly benefit all sentient beings, the enlightened Buddhas also manifest various forms and appearances. The immense merit of even a single pore of the Buddha is truly incomparable. Indeed, even the boundless merit of a single pore of the Buddha is entirely beyond compare. It is as vast as space and difficult for worldly people to comprehend. We will discuss this further below. It is also mentioned in the Avatamsaka Sutra that the immense merit gained from seeing, hearing, and making offerings to all Tathagatas is truly immeasurable. By seeing, hearing, remembering, and making offerings to all Tathagatas, the profound merit obtained is indeed beyond measure. Therefore, we should understand this. By understanding the Buddha's merits, we develop faith. Then, with single-minded focus, we visualize the Buddha, recite his sacred name, and also the profound Buddha's heart mantra. Moreover, we truly need to put this into diligent practice at all times. As devoted Buddhists, we should first understand the Buddha's merits. What exactly was Shakyamuni Buddha like? We cannot regard him as just a famous person from India, or simply as a well-known Indian philosopher, equivalent to truly great Socrates or Plato, or someone like the influential Gandhi from the nation of India. If we do, then we truly do not know what the Buddha was really like. Why exactly do I say this particular thing? The teachings of the Tripitaka expounded by the Buddha. Can any of these famous people accomplish such things? We are not saying this just to offer meaningless praise. All conventional and ultimate truth in the world, all their mysteries and profundities, can be explained completely, accurately, and truthfully by him. Such a person, how many people have there been in human history since ancient times? Let's take a look. Therefore, we should first rely on understanding the Buddha's qualities and then give rise to unwavering and steadfast faith in him. After that, we should wholeheartedly contemplate the Buddha, contemplate Buddha images, recite the Buddha's name, and chant the Buddha's mantra, such as Dayatau Mani Mani Ma Mani Yeshua or Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Alternatively, we can visualize the sacred revered Buddha, which is exceptionally profound, meaningful, and brings immense transformative spiritual merit. What we are discussing with everyone this precious time, everyone should also most seriously reflect upon and consider. Whatever we do in life, details are very important, and consistent perseverance is absolutely important. If we lack sincere perseverance and are just Buddhists in name only lacking authentic practice, being careless and half-hearted, believing in this today and that tomorrow, it really doesn't have much profound meaning. Therefore, here we should truly understand the immense importance of faith in the Buddha. If we are truly unable to visualize at every single moment, then it becomes incredibly challenging. Then we should, within a very short period of just 7 days, only focus single-mindedly on visualizing the Buddha. Doing so also brings immense spiritual merit and profound blessings. If each and every one of us cannot clearly visualize every single day, we can participate in a 7-day Buddha recitation retreat. For example, the Amitabha Buddha 7-day retreat, where we recite for 7 days. There are also 7-day retreats for Shakyamuni Buddha. There are also 7-day retreats for Medicine Buddha and for Vajrasattva Buddha as well. We can wholeheartedly recite and repent, visualizing Vajrasattva, reciting in this way for 7 days. Or, to put it another way, with single-minded focus, just like in autumn. We usually hold the Amitabha Buddha 7-day retreat, which is a spiritual practice for practitioners. Perhaps in Tibetan area it is called a Dharma assembly, but in Han regions, a 7-day retreat. In the summer, there is also the Vajrasattva 7-day retreat, where we also single-mindedly and diligently recite Vajrasattva's sacred name for 7 full days. There are also, for example, Avalokiteshvara practices and so on. When our His Holiness was still alive, he always did it this way as well. If we do it like this, it's just as described in the Amitabha Sutra, whether for 1 day, 2 days, up to 7 days, if one recites the Buddha's name with unwavering focus, then at the moment of death, Amitabha Buddha and his holy assembly will appear before you. He will not fall into the lower realms, but will be directly reborn in the pure land of ultimate bliss. So if you visualize in this way for 7 days, the merit is great. Some of us may recite the Buddha's name and visualize the Buddha daily, but if some people really can't manage that, didn't I talk about this last year too? Can we at least once a year do a 7-day retreat, or find a place to participate in a 7-day Buddha recitation retreat? For example, in some places, when they hold a 7-day Chan meditation retreat, they specifically visualize a statue of Shakyamuni Buddha in the center. Then, throughout the 7 days, both day and night, they are visualizing and practicing. This kind of practice also exists in Tibetan Buddhism. In Theravada Buddhism as well, there are visualization practices focused on Shakyamuni Buddha. This is very important. The Sutra of the Precious Cloud also says this: if one can have intense faith and within 7 days avoid all other thoughts and all sorts of other activities, and solely and continuously visualize the Buddha, merits are inconceivable. Then after a full and complete 7 days have passed, at the very dawn of the 8th day, one should also carefully wear clean and freshly laundered clothes, and then make some offerings and recite rituals. And that very night one can personally behold the Tathagata. However, in some accounts it is said to happen on the 7th day. It should actually be after the 7th day, on the 8th day. Generally speaking, when we practice, for example, during the Vidyadhara or Vajrasattva Puja, after the 7 days have passed, we seek Siddhi at dawn on the 8th day. There is this kind of tradition. In the morning, perhaps it is even more evident in the Vidyadhara Puja. On the morning of 2nd day, we seek Siddhi, whether through a dream or by receiving auspicious signs after 7 days' practice and completion on the very early morning of the 8th day. Various auspicious signs and dream omens may appear. These manifestations can indeed appear at that particular time. If the recitation ritual is found to be incomplete, or if one does not possess a truly focused and dedicated mind during the process, then at the break of dawn, auspicious signs may not necessarily or predictably appear. However, at the time of death, one will definitely meet the Tathagata through the power of this virtuous route. In some other texts, including the Sublime Jewel Cloud Sutra, it is said, recite for 7 days and 7 nights. If the 7 days are not completed, there are some differences between the Chinese and Tibetan versions. In the Chinese version, after reciting for 7 full days and 7 long nights, significant dream omens will eventually appear, or if the 7 days are not completed. Or if there are other aspects that are not perfect, then auspicious signs may not necessarily appear. However, due to the merit of reciting Amitabha's name at dawn or at the moment of death, the Buddha will come to bless you and you will not fall into the lower realms. You will definitely be reborn in a pure land. So when we recite Amitabha's name, everyone should not think that this is just a superficial practice. Don't think that reciting Amitabha's name is nothing special. You shouldn't think that way. Some people think that reciting Amitabha's name is just for old ladies, old men, or elderly practitioners, that it's truly their way of practice. But this kind of thinking is also quite incorrect. Some young people, if you don't diligently recite Amitabha's name, you really don't know whether your lifespan, you don't even know how many years you have left. Looking at the people who die in our world today, maybe half of them are elderly, but the other half could very well be young people. Every day there are car accidents, disasters of earth, water, fire, and wind, all kinds of sudden and unexpected deaths, including all sorts of cancers nowadays, and various diseases that keep occurring one after another. It's really hard to say how long our own lives will last. A year from today, will I still be in this world or not? No one can really make that kind of serious decision, right? Generally speaking, whether in Tibetan area or in Han regions, most people traditionally think that once you get really old, that's when you should start reciting Amitabha Buddha's name, as if young people aren't allowed to recite or can't recite. This kind of thinking, this tradition, isn't really good. Actually, it's especially when you are physically strong and robust that it becomes more convenient and advantageous to effectively engage in visualization and recitation practices. Because after people get old, all kinds of illnesses continue to keep happening and keep arising constantly. And then maybe your mindset and ability to meditate, these aren't really that good anymore. If we put all our spiritual practice off until we're much older, that's actually not a very good or effective approach. The important things we truly ought to do, the essential tasks and responsibilities, should ideally be done when we are still young, when we are truly in the prime of our lives. So, what we are essentially saying is, if you find that you are unable to consistently recite all the time, then at least once a year, or perhaps once a month, spend 7 consecutive days in a row reciting the Buddha's sacred name, practicing meditation, and cultivating inner peace. That's also very good and highly beneficial. Next, let's talk about the same thing, the Sutra on the Samadhi of the present Buddha dwelling in the world. This is actually the Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra. The Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra is in fact the Xianhu Sutra. Within the Mahasamnipata Sutra, there is a section called the Xianhu chapter. This is actually we normally known as Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra. The Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra is considered early in Chinese Buddhism. It should be one of the earlier ones. In the past, it seems that Master Huyuan of the Pure Land School, they all placed a very great deal of importance on it. As for the English translation, there was also a version that was indeed done in the 1970s. In 2013, or around that particular time when I went to Stanford University, that esteemed professor, who was my gracious host at the time, he meticulously translated the ancient and profound Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra into English. He mentioned that the first complete translation was successfully done in the 1970s. Later, he thoroughly translated it again in the 1990s entirely. So it seems that in the West, they do indeed attach significant great importance to the revered Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra tradition. In Han region, there is also the practice of 7-day Zen retreats. And during the Pratyutpana Samadhi Dharma assemblies, and also there have also been many ascetic practices throughout history. We have also talked about some of these symbolically in the past. So the West also places great importance on this particular sutra. As for the Tibetan translation, it is also highly regarded. It is called the Sutra of the Present Abiding of the Tathagata in the Samadhi. That is to say, the Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra also profoundly conveys this significant meaning within the sacred scripture. The primary and most essential points of this particular sutra are carefully excerpted as follows. So, how precisely does it explain this profound concept here? The Buddha tells both lay people and ordained bodhisattvas that when in a quiet place, one should repeatedly contemplate the form of the Tathagata. Even when hearing others describe the appearance of the Tathagata, one should visualize it in one's own mind. If you have an image of the Tathagata yourself, of course that is best. If you do not have a statue of the Tathagata, then listen to others' description. If you have never seen the Tathagata yourself, then let others describe what the Tathagata looks like. After you have listened, either visualize it above your head or in your own heart, and continuously recite his name. By contemplating in this way and upholding pure precepts from the first day to the 7th day, if you are able to keep your mind undistracted and contemplate properly, then after 7 days, you will be able to behold the noble face of the Tathagata during the day. Some people, in their own personal experiences, truly see the Tathagata at different levels. There are indeed various kinds of responses in seeing the Tathagata. If you are unable to clearly perceive the Tathagata during the light of day, then indeed, when the darkness of night falls, you can also reverently behold the world-honored one's noble and serene face in your sacred dreams. You will be able to perfectly clearly see his radiant divine features. Even in our peaceful dreams, we can perceive the Tathagata's supremely majestic and awe-inspiring appearance. So, sometimes when we blissfully dream of the Buddha, our beloved revered guru, or some enlightened bodhisattvas, this is actually a very good sign as well. However, we should not become overly attached to it. These principles will also be explained later on. Therefore, if we practice for 7 days as mentioned earlier, generally speaking, there will be some degree of results. For example, if we diligently practice Vajrasattva for 7 full days, we might dream of ourselves wearing pure, clean, and pristine clothes, or perhaps see brilliant white clouds, the radiant sun, or the luminous moon shining brightly in the sky, and so on. We might also dream of drinking pure white milk or sweet, refreshing nectar. We may see that many impurities and defilements within our body are all completely purified and so on. There are many such auspicious signs. In fact, these are also clear signs of successful practice or of meeting the Tathagata. This is the essential part we have discussed so far in our conversation. In the same way, if one has... Next we talk about the Western Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss. Mipham Rinpoche used this example upon hearing Amitabha Buddha resides in the Western Pure Land. When we hear about the Western Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss, Amitabha Buddha, and the Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss, after hearing this, we should repeatedly follow the methods described above to engage in contemplation and visualization. This too is indeed quite entirely possible. Although the Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss is countless planets away from us in an extremely distant and far-off place, because the immense power of such an intention is truly inconceivable, it is actually possible. So, what is this kind of visualization like? As explained here, there is an analogy. For example, a person with intense desire hears that there is an exceptionally beautiful courtesan residing in a certain place. Although he cannot meet her in person, he is deeply intrigued by her reputation. After hearing others talk about her, he truly becomes deeply enamored and utterly infatuated within his very heart, longing intensely for her. Eventually, in his dreams, he engages in impure acts with her and experiences truly genuine pleasure from it. At first glance, these things might seem quite entirely unrealistic, but such miraculous occurrences do indeed happen frequently. The sacred Xianhu Sutra also thoughtfully uses this extremely profound analogy. At that time, there were 3 men from the kingdom of Magadha. Each of them heard about and was intrigued by 3 distinct and exceptionally beautiful courtesans, each residing in a different and unique location. Each of them developed different deep thoughts and memories about these beautiful women separately. In the end, each of them had such compelling dreams and thoroughly enjoyed pleasure with these women in their elaborate dreams, and so on completely. So this analogy appears in the Buddhist scriptures. What does it mean when such an analogy is used? In fact, although it is a kind of dream, in this vivid dream he receives a certain mysterious message from elsewhere clearly, and for us ordinary people in this material world, because your mind of desire is strongly aroused in this complex process continuously, in reality, you also engage in many different kinds of actions. This is precisely the same principle. Although the Pure Land is a very distant and far-off place, there is also a kind of very wondrous dependent origination, a marvelous connection. In the same way, those who possess the samadhi of the present Tathagata abiding in the world, in fact, the samadhi of the present Tathagata abiding in the world refers to the meaning of pratyutpanna samadhi. In Chinese, it is called pratyutpanna samadhi. The Pratyutpanna Samadhi Sutra seems to have 3 volumes. Many of its contents are also found here. Here, Mipham Rinpoche has excerpted from it, not quoted it in its entirety. This samadhi, those who possess the Pratyutpanna Samadhi, in this world, upon hearing the name of Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light, they immediately recollect the name of the Tathagata, constantly keeping Amitabha Buddha in mind, and then meditate on the Tathagata's qualities in samadhi. They will definitely have a direct and clear vision of Amitabha Buddha and other enlightened Buddhas, and moreover, they will have the precious opportunity to hear the profound Dharma in their sacred presence, and receive the blessings of Amitabha Buddha, attain rebirth in the Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss. By visualizing the Buddha in this way, one will be able to behold the Buddha. And what kind of causes and conditions does this depend on? It is due to the Buddha's miraculous power and blessings, one's own virtuous roots, as well as the power of samadhi. When all these causes and conditions are fully complete, many things in our world can truly come to pass. For example, our videos here can be seen in the West, specifically in America. A person in America and someone here can connect through video. This kind of connection is truly inconceivable. There may be thousands of mountains and rivers in between, yet we can still respond to each other. We can still have an effect on one another. In the same way, between Amitabha Buddha's world and ours, there are also countless worlds and vast distances separating us. Yet our faith here and Amitabha Buddha's power of aspiration can also bring about many different and truly significant transformations. Just like when we look at our own face, when it is reflected in the mirror, our physical body itself has not actually moved into the mirror, but rather, when all the necessary conditions come together, it creates an optical illusion. It can appear as a clear and distinct image. Even from a remarkably great distance, we are capable of showing our own face completely and in every intricate detail within the reflective surface of the mirror. But in reality, my body has not yet entered into the mirror, it seems, nor has the mirror come over to me. Yet when these two conditions are met, the complete image can still be fully and clearly presented just the same. In a very similar way, as has been carefully described above, if one diligently and consistently practices, one can also truly see the Tathagata and clearly hear the profound Dharma teachings. For example, even if our guru has passed away many years ago, if I have great faith, it is very much possible that in a dream at night I could experience something profound. I might receive instructions just as I would during the day. This too is a kind of condition or circumstance in which, within one's very own personal image, they can clearly appear and can be distinctly heard and perceived, and one can even receive blessings, feel joy in the heart, and so on. All of these are completely possible. So what is the reason for this? What exactly is this like? Here he goes a step further to explain this concept. If we analyze it more thoroughly and carefully, actually, the Tathagata has never truly come to our place at all, not even once. For example, when I visualize Amitabha Buddha or Shakyamuni Buddha, it is not that the Tathagata has crossed thousands of mountains and rivers. He doesn't run back and forth, coming right in front of me. It's not like that. Nor is it that I travel from this very place to the specific location where the revered Tathagata presently resides. If we were to truly go about it in that particular manner, between us then, considering just a mere few seconds now, how could one possibly go or even come? These intricate matters are also quite hard to fully explain. But because of one's own pure mind, the image of the Tathagata can appear in one's mind. The earlier analogy of the mirror is a very good one. The mirror does not run over to the object, nor does the object run into the mirror. But when the right conditions are present for both, it is possible. The moon, high in the sky, can appear reflected in all the countless vessels of water throughout the world. Yet the moon itself does not fall down, and the water vessels do not rise up. But when these conditions are met, the reflection can appear. This is as described in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Just as in pure water, reflections come and go without actually arriving or departing, so too does the Dharmakaya pervade the world. One should understand it in this way. On the tranquil surface of pure, clear water, vivid reflections of the luminous moon, various people and so forth can all appear, but in reality these fleeting images neither truly come nor truly go. In the same way, the pure form of the Buddha, whether it is Amitabha Buddha or Vajrasattva, can appear before our minds. For those of us who may not have studied Buddhism, or who haven't studied it very deeply, if I were to shout loudly, it might seem as if Vajrasattva has to work very hard, busy coming here, busy going there. Just like some of us going to work, one moment flying over here by plane, then, oh, someone is calling over there, so I have to go there. But it's not like that. This is kind of dependent origination. What is the reason for this? There is also an analysis of this here. In the Mahaprajna Paramita Shastra, it is said, all phenomena in the three realms are created by the mind. Whatever the mind thinks of, all can be seen. With the mind, one sees the Buddha. With the mind, one becomes the Buddha. The mind is the Buddha. The mind is my body. All dharmas in the three realms are mind-created. Why? Everything manifests through mind power. Thus, with mind one sees Buddha, with mind one becomes Buddha. The Mahaprajna Paramita Shastra explains this clearly. So what's the difference among the three realms? Similarly, all phenomena in the three realms are mind manifestations. Everyone should really think about this carefully. There are many profound and extremely subtle key points explained here. Because our three realms, in fact, rely on, just like in a dream, are created by the mind. So what is the true nature of the mind? No matter how you search for it, whether inside or outside the mind, you cannot find any real tangible thing. As we mentioned earlier, even the Tathagata is just a manifestation of one's own mind. Some people say, I have seen the Tathagata and feel extremely, extremely happy. But you shouldn't hold on to this too concretely. This is an illusion of the mind. As for the nature of the mind, it cannot be found either inside or outside. It has no color nor any shape. The mind is like this. The mind arises dependent on various causes and conditions. Its true nature is a dependent origination, like a dream or an illusion, but it has no real substance whatsoever. This so-called insubstantial Dharma, from the perspective of its essence, has never truly arisen. It has never come into being, nor does it have any object it apprehends. Once we understand this principle, we can say that we have attained the true wisdom that is free from all conceptual fabrications. True wisdom conventionally is like a dream or illusion. Ultimately, it is free from the 4 extremes and 8 elaborations, as explained in Madhyamaka teachings. And it is taught the same way in Tantric teachings. This is also how we perceive the Tathagata. Indeed, during our visualization practice, we should not cling to the Buddha's physical form as truly existent, whether we perceive it in a dream or in a vision or encounter it in real life. But is there an inconceivable blessing or power from the Tathagata? There truly is. As Buddhists, we must not be ignorant of this principle. We should understand this principle. Otherwise, some of us recite the Buddha's name every day, but what exactly are we reciting? The more we recite, the stronger our attachment to true existence becomes. The Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra says that Tathagata abides in meditative equipoise through 4 methods. What are these 4 methods? Unwavering faith and diligence that never regresses. Not relying on others' wisdom and relying on a qualified spiritual teacher. This is very important. In fact, truly attaining the Pratyutpana Samadhi also requires these certain 4 methods. But I think that in our daily practice, we also very much need these 4 methods. I hope everyone will remember this as well. Unwavering faith is indeed very important. Otherwise, some of our faith at the very beginning is too intense, whether it's towards the Dharma or towards the teacher. But then as time goes on, I decide not to study Vajrayana anymore, only the Sutrayana. Then later on, I also stopped studying the Sutrayana as well. Now, there are also some so-called old Buddhists, though actually they can't be called old Buddhists. They've only studied for 12 years, or 5 or 6 years, but they consider themselves to be veteran Buddhists. In reality, they haven't learned anything at all. Maybe in the middle, they just added the title of Buddhist for fun. So one truly important thing to consider is this unwavering faith. Then there's diligence, never regressing, and also wisdom. And where exactly do all these profound virtues truly come from? They come from a truly good spiritual teacher. In the revered Xianhu Sutra, it clearly states that having a good spiritual teacher is indeed extremely important. And as disciples, this is explained very clearly in the Sutrayana. You should take a look when you have time. Actually, even if you don't have time, you should still read it. I think sometimes I shouldn't say when you have time. Otherwise, it seems like you all are busy every day. Originally, I thought, if I say it like this, it won't work. You must read it. The Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra, there are so many copies in China. You should read it. There are also versions in English and other languages. Everything I just mentioned, the root of diligence, wisdom, faith is the spiritual teacher. Moreover, as disciples, we should regard our guru as a Buddha. I see that in the Sutrayana it says, regard your teacher as a Buddha. Some people in the Sutrayana say, how can you Vajrayana practitioners regard your guru as a Buddha? In the Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra and the Xianhu Sutra, it is stated, if you do not regard your teacher as a Buddha, and instead harbor arrogance, jealousy, or competitiveness toward them, then you will certainly not attain the profound and ultimate samadhi of Pratyutpana. You will not receive such blessings, nor attain this kind of samadhi. This has already been made very clear. So let's look at this further. If we can diligently apply these 4 causes for attaining samadhi, we will definitely realize the result of the present Tathagata abiding samadhi. After attaining this samadhi, one can easily and clearly behold the Tathagatas of the 10 directions in person. Actually, regarding the Pratyutpana Samadhi that was just mentioned, it truly means being able to frequently visualize the Buddha with single-minded and unwavering focus, without any distraction whatsoever. constantly visualizing the Buddha. This is the Pratyutpana Samadhi. Whether it is Amitabha Buddha or Shakyamuni Buddha, frequently visualizing the Buddha is called the Pratyutpana Samadhi. If one attains the Pratyutpana Samadhi, then it becomes easy to see the Tathagatas of the 10 directions. At the same time, one can gain the ability to hear, recall, wisdom, realization, the 6 perfections, and meditative concentration, as well as dharan, miraculous powers, and countless merits. If one possesses this meditative concentration, actually I think that the Buddha's blessing is very, very important. Those who frequently recite the Buddha's name and visualize the Buddha, their wisdom, meditative concentration, and dharani, these arise naturally. People who never visualize anything in daily life, although they may be more eloquent for the time being, in the end, in their mind streams, they will have no merit at all. Everything will completely disappear. And within unsurpassed enlightenment, one attains non-retrogression. One will never again be reborn in places lacking leisure and opportunity. One can also obtain life after life, great beauty and dignity, noble birth, and many followers. Even in dreams, one does not depart from the Tathagata and so on. There are these inconceivable merits. It is truly important for us to contemplate the Buddha's qualities. It really is very important. There are discussions on this topic, whether in the Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra or the Xianhu Sutra that was mentioned earlier. It is indeed clearly stated. And in the Sutra on the present abiding of the Tathagata in the world, there are already clear and extensive explanations. This sutra also says the following: in the future, if truly terrifying events or widespread illnesses unfortunately arise, if some people are able to hear about the Pratyutpana Samadhi that was just discussed and then diligently put it into practice, this person has already devoutly made offerings to Shakyamuni Buddha as well as to all the Buddhas of the past and future. His deep fears and troubling unpleasant situations will also disappear completely, because by making sincere offerings or by diligently practicing and meditating in this sacred way, it is actually the same as making offerings to other Tathagatas. Relying on this power of dependent origination, relying on this blessing, in the end, all of one's adverse conditions can also be dispelled. Therefore, in our daily lives, whether your work is going smoothly or not yet, you're feeling emotionally unwell, or if you're physically uncomfortable, reciting the Buddha's name is still very important. However, many of us have weak faith. We wonder, will it really work if I recite like this? Right now, my cold is very serious, so maybe reciting the Buddha's name won't help. But sometimes when the true results of karma manifest, even the Buddha not be able to do anything. However, before you catch a cold, before you get sick, reciting the Buddha's name might be more effective. If you really are already sick, it becomes difficult to recite the Buddha's name as well. It's just like with some good cold medicine. If you only take it after you've already caught a cold, not only does it not work, but it seems to have absolutely no effect at all.
So sometimes people's wrong views and their doubts can come in many different forms and various manifestations. Especially for many of us, we grew up in an environment like this from a young age, one that is completely contrary to our own faith. And if we grow up with this kind of educational philosophy, after all, the education that we truly and actually receive as children is inseparably and profoundly connected to our daily lives and experiences. As a direct result, even though we possess a correct and unwavering faith in the sacred Dharma, and this truly represents the correct and righteous path, my own personal upbringing and formative family background, as well as the significant influence of various other comprehensive forms of education, and indeed all sorts of other compelling and diverse reasons that have contributed to my overall development and perspective. We often end up going against right faith and right view, sometimes even frequently heading in the opposite direction. We might even completely and utterly stray far away from the absolute truth, and challenging situations like this can frequently occur in our daily lives. So here it indeed asks, how should great bodhisattvas truly practice this kind of very profound meditative concentration? The Tathagata then answers as follows. The Buddha said, "Xianhu, I am now fully present right here, precisely before you, diligently expounding the Dharma." Bodhisattvas should carefully contemplate the physical form of the Tathagata, the perfectly enlightened one. Each and every one of these sacred marks is formed from countless merits and virtues accumulated over vast eons. Regarding all the auspicious marks of the Tathagata, we should understand them in this way. Why do we call him the Buddha? Even visualizing him brings inconceivable merit. Recalling him also brings truly inconceivable merit, and hearing about him brings inconceivable merit as well. If you see him with your very own eyes, directly and clearly, that too brings indeed great inconceivable merit. The main reason is, just as it is explained in the jewel garland of the middle way, when the Buddha was still on the path of practice, he spent countless eons making endless sacrifices for sentient beings. Because of this gradual and continuous accumulation of the crystallization of profound wisdom, the Buddha ultimately attained such a truly magnificent and auspicious physical form. Sometimes I even joke and playfully remark, why is it like this? It's just like some of the pu'er tea we have nowadays. All of it is refined and called tea essence, right? Everything is condensed into just a tiny little bit, a concentrated single drop. In fact, it contains so many things, but in the end, it's condensed into just a tiny bit. This is actually a bit different from other substances. Although its volume is very small, it truly contains a significant amount of essence, all concentrated into a tiny particle. Actually, the Buddha is just like this. I often think this way myself. For example, when it comes to the Buddha's appearance, it is the result of countless lifetimes and eons of accumulation. It's only when we read the extensive biography of Shakyamuni Buddha that we understand this. Over countless eons, he made sacrifices for sentient beings. Gradually, this accumulated and became his past lives. As explained in the Ratnagotra Vibhaga, the qualities of the Dharmakaya and the qualities of Sambhogakaya. All these merits are condensed into this kind of body of merit and virtue. This body of merit and virtue is beneficial for all sentient beings who see, hear, or become aware of it. It's like various medicines that cure all kinds of illnesses. If all of them were condensed into a single small pill, it might look very small. But in reality, after you take it, many illnesses will naturally be cured. So why did the Buddha say that compared to an ordinary person, a photo of a celebrity and a photo of the Buddha are fundamentally different? The reason lies here, in this aspect. Many of us fellow practitioners should really think about this carefully. Otherwise, some people might have a lot of resources when it comes to holding wrong views. All kinds of wrong views can naturally and repeatedly arise over time. But when it comes to having the right views, their available resources are very much lacking. Indeed, as I just mentioned, whether it's the place where many of us were born, or the education we've received, or even our habitual tendencies from beginningless time, for ordinary people, good conditions are relatively rare, while unfavorable conditions are extremely numerous. This includes your negative friends and all those truly bad environments, as well as all kinds of educational ideas and influences that constantly surround you. There are many paths of wrong views that influence you, so this is something that we should definitely be aware of and keep in mind. When you visualize the image of the Buddha in your mind, you should contemplate in this way: how wondrous! The enlightened Tathagata transcends birth and death, is so magnificent, so rare and precious. At the same time, you should also make a vow yourself that in all of my future lives, I too should become like Shakyamuni Buddha. So truly magnificent, so incredibly rare, so wonderfully marvelous. Think in this particular way. Later, when we talk about the biographies of the diligent great bodhisattvas, it will also be very evident, and there are countless such examples. In this particular sutra, there are many profound contemplations related to this aspect, and some key principles regarding how to contemplate the Tathagata. These are explained very clearly. Then, after contemplating correctly, one should understand that so-called I and bodhisattva fundamentally have no real existence. You must develop firm conviction in this regard. We must not regard the Tathagata as truly existent, like in other religions, as if he were something completely fixed. From the perspective of ultimate reality, this is not reasonable. In other words, the merit of contemplating that not even a single phenomenon truly exists is also extensively explained in this scripture. We should consult and thoroughly understand it. Next, we will discuss the 700 Prajnaparamita Sutra, or 700 verses of Prajnaparamita. Either is fine. Or in the Great Prajnaparamita Sutra, it is the 7th assembly. This has long been available with both English and Chinese translations. Back in the early days, when Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty first began, he translated it within the Great Prajnaparamita Sutra, calling it the Manjushri section. Here it specifically discusses the Manjushri chapter, or the 7th chapter. This is what it says here. The Buddha told Manjushri, bodhisattvas who practice the samadhi of single-pointedness can very quickly attain the fruit of unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. Here, samadhi of single-pointedness also refers to contemplating the Buddha's form. In different scriptures, some call it the pratyutpanna samadhi, while others refer to it as samadhi of single-pointedness. It is about contemplating the Buddha. Among those present here, perhaps some have never heard of this. Some people practice meditation, and when it comes to meditation, the best kind is contemplating the Buddha's form. whether it's at the World Youth Buddhist Society or in universities or within our Buddhist communities. Indeed, I've talked about this many times. As for the reason, I believe that among all forms of meditation, contemplating the Buddha is the most meaningful. Some other practices might sometimes be too profound, such as abiding in the state of dzogchen, and sometimes it's hard to say whether one can truly abide in it or not. Some of us, for example, contemplate tea, contemplate flowers. Nowadays, meditation is applied to all sorts of things, like contemplating fireflies, contemplating the sun, all kinds of things that are neither here nor there. It's hard to tell whether it's actually Buddhism or just worldly teachings. Everything is being called Zen these days, but whether these things can really be called Zen, I'm not so sure. But true meditation, if we contemplate the Buddha, that is truly the best kind of meditation. In various spiritual scriptures, this profound practice is described under many different names. Just as I mentioned earlier, the Buddha told Manjushri that what is called single-pointedness is actually another name for the unborn emptiness. They are different names for the unborn emptiness. Those noble men and women who practice the meditative absorption of single-pointedness should first understand the teachings of the perfection of wisdom, and after gaining ultimate analytical understanding, then engage in the meditative absorption of single-pointedness. Why is that the case? Because in reality, unborn emptiness was never deluded in the past either, nor is it deluded now, and in the future it will not be deluded. Its profound meaning is inconceivable, beyond thought and speculation. This is the meditative absorption of single-pointedness. The Buddha told Manjushri that those noble men and women who practice the meditative absorption of single-pointedness should do so in a quiet place, on a clean seat, with a joyful and undistracted mind. Do not cling to any appearances. In other words, sit in the Vajra posture and contemplate the Tathagata in a non-referential way. This is our method of meditation. Whether you're in a quiet place or in your own room, sit in the Vajra posture and focus your visualization solely. You can visualize Shakyamuni Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, either is fine. You can also visualize Vajrasattva. When visualizing, you should also think in this way. All phenomena are also truly like this. Buddha, I should visualize properly. That is to say, recite the name of the Tathagata. While reciting the name of the Tathagata, at the same time visualize and direct your mind to the abode of the Tathagata. For example, if it is Amitabha Buddha, he resides in the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss. Or for Vajrasattva, visualize him above your head, or visualize him in any place on your body. Visualize in this way. You can recite the Buddha's name or chant a mantra at the same time. Either is fine. If you can just visualize one Tathagata in this way, truly, it is equivalent to visualizing all Tathagatas of the past, future, and present. You should remember this point. When we practice Vajrasattva and recite Om Benza Sato Hung, in fact, it encompasses all three times. The Buddhas of the future, past and present, all are visualized. And reciting the heart mantras of all of them is the same. This is explained in the Buddhist scriptures. Everyone should understand why this is so. Because all Tathagatas in their true nature are one and the same. A single Tathagata already possesses immeasurable merit and eloquence. Likewise, those individuals who uphold a single-pointed concentration truly rely upon the profound principle of unborn emptiness, and thus can understand the countless categories of Dharma teachings. If one can truly realize this profound truth, then one fully comprehends all the realms understood by the Tathagata. Or take Ananda, for example. Ananda was foremost in hearing and learning. All the Dharma that he comprehended could also manifest before him. This is a case of if one understands a single Dharma, one understands all Dharmas. Just as it is stated in the Mahayana Secret Adornment Sutra, if one grain of rice in the pot is cooked, the rest can be known to be cooked as well. If a single grain of rice in a pot is cooked, then the other grains are also cooked. So it is with all dharmas. To know one is to know the others. The principle of the emptiness of all phenomena is the same. As stated in the 400 verses of the Middle Way, if one realizes the emptiness of a single phenomenon, then by analogy, the emptiness of all other phenomena can also be fully understood. If one comprehends the principle of single-pointed meditative equipoise, then all other profound dharmas can also be thoroughly understood and assimilated. Those dedicated individuals who diligently practice single-pointed meditative equipoise within their lifetime can travel to the 4 great continents to compassionately teach the sacred dharma. Or there may be bodhisattvas who contemplate in this way. What exactly is single-pointed meditative equipoise? To such a bodhisattva, one can answer as follows. This single-pointed meditative equipoise possesses inconceivable qualities. If you explain it to others and they uphold it, all virtues can truly and fully manifest themselves in their entirety. All of these are attainable only by those without weakness or doubt in their minds. Only such people can attain them. Of course, this single-pointed meditative equipoise, attained by mind strong, free from doubt, without wrong views, only such people can attain it. This scripture also says that those with discriminating thoughts and wrong views are unable to attain such meditative equipoise. What is this like? It is like possessing a wish-fulfilling jewel for a long time, but never polishing it. If it is not polished, when others ask about its true intrinsic value, this person will say, "This wish-fulfilling jewel is extremely precious, a priceless treasure. You must carefully and meticulously polish it to truly and deeply know its inherent preciousness. Because it is his wish-fulfilling jewel, he ought to know this." Afterwards, when it is given to someone else, and after it is polished, its true nature finally appears. The original wish-fulfilling jewel is indeed like this. He then fully understands when the wish-fulfilling jewel is not polished, he does not know that it is actually a wish-fulfilling jewel. Only after it is polished does he realize it. In the same way, when we do not have single-pointed meditative equipoise, we do not know. When we are always holding wrong views and mistaken discriminations, it's just like the wish-fulfilling jewel being covered by dust from the outside. There's nothing that can be done. Only after it is polished can we recognize it. Moreover, someone has to tell him. If no one tells him, he simply has no way of knowing. So when we ourselves are obscured by all kinds of wrong views and dust, if someone comes to point it out and says, if we practice the Buddha's sublime teachings with single-pointed meditative equipoise, when we are able to truly attain such and such profound merits, only then do we fully realize the immense value of the precious wish-fulfilling jewel. In precisely the same way, single-pointed meditative equipoise possesses great merit. Similarly, the sunlight can shine everywhere. As for the vast ocean, all of its distinct flavors are quite very salty. Whether it's the Atlantic or the Pacific, it's all the same thing. There's no such thing as one being sweet and another being bitter. Single-pointed meditative equipoise, likewise, can reveal that all phenomena are equally unborn and empty in nature. Single-pointed meditative equipoise is actually the visualization of the Buddha, but the foundation of visualizing the Buddha is the unborn emptiness. This is very important. When we visualize now, whether it's the generation stage or the final completion stage of the entire process, whether we're reciting the Vajrasattva mantra or anything else, the most ultimate principle is to understand emptiness. If you understand emptiness, that is the very nature of all Buddhas. That is also the very nature of our own mind. In other words, it is the innermost intent of the Guru and the very essence of all phenomena, which lies within the unborn emptiness. If we do not understand this, it's like having a wish-fulfilling jewel in our hands, but it has already been tainted by dust. Therefore, no matter what practice we engage in, from a worldly perspective, visualizing the Buddha's form is extremely important. But from the ultimate perspective, one must understand the emptiness of its true nature. If we do not understand this, we become tainted by clinging to things as real, or are constantly obscured by the dust of wrong views and cannot reveal the true qualities of the wish-fulfilling jewel. In fact, every dharma is like space, pervading all phenomena, just like the taste of the ocean pervades all the seas. And like radiant sunlight naturally shines upon all worlds equally. Actually, this universal principle should apply to all phenomena absolutely completely. Also, after the 17th chapter in the profoundly significant Sutra of the Holy Holder of Good Roots, it also comprehensively explains the essential content related to single-pointed concentration. Then, in the Venerable Maitreya Lion's Roar Sutra, there is a truly remarkable and inspiring story, the great life. Well today now. In fact, the important Mahasamnipata Sutra also speaks extensively about these important virtues and these profound teachings. Today we are focusing on the profound and beneficial practice of calming and insight meditation through deeply contemplating the Buddha. The specific and detailed method for contemplating Shakyamuni Buddha will be thoroughly explained in the following section. So, what are the requirements mentioned above? One is to frequently contemplate the Tathagata. Second, there is no real difference between a Buddha image and the Buddha himself. If there are many sentences that you truly and genuinely can't remember, just recall the profound and inspiring story of the great diligence Bodhisattva that I mentioned earlier. The very thought, I sincerely wish to become a Buddha, is in itself the Buddha, the sacred Buddha image that we have carefully placed in front of us. For example, if we place a statue of Vajrasattva in front of us, in fact, that is Vajrasattva Buddha himself, truly and purely. If I am devoted to him, if I develop faith in him, then that is Vajrasattva Buddha. For quite many of us here, this might be something rather quite new, so everyone should really reflect on this from multiple different perspectives carefully, because we just know very little about Mahayana Buddhism. When it comes to true Mahayana Buddhism, each of us may not have even read a mere 20 or so significant books on the profound subject. In this particular case, our current understanding of Mahayana Buddhism, even though we ourselves are indeed dedicated Mahayana Buddhists, we truly are not truly good exemplary disciples, you could certainly say. Because when it comes to the vast and boundless true teachings of the Tathagata, we still know relatively very little. Therefore, we should truly understand within the Buddhism context what the so-called single-mindedly becoming a Buddha or single-mindedly attaining Buddhahood really means at its very core. I sincerely hope that everyone will deeply reflect on this important matter.
Jirgana jirano chupai, chupun zonen droa droa
Bandangara Badna Sodargye. Bandangara Badna Sodargye. Bandangara Badna Sodargye.